Hey guys, happy Monday. It should be the 18th. I record these in advance, obviously. Yep, Monday the 18th. So I hope that you were doing well and you had a good weekend. You are on the home stretch. School is almost over, your freshman year in high school, and you have worked really hard. Just to recap what we have done in digital learning, in case you forgot, you started off by looking at some poetry before spring break. You learned the acronym TPCast, and you analyzed a few poems using that, and I got some really cool responses. After TPCast, you started looking at rhetoric and started with just some basic rhetoric notes, moved into a TED Talk, moved into political cartoons, speeches. So you have gotten a lot of rhetoric work in, and it's been really good stuff. And I'm really happy for you and proud of you. The one piece of rhetoric that we didn't get to, you couldn't do it at home, was to write a rhetorical analysis speech. They're too large for you to do at home, and it would have been really hard. So you will, I should have said essay, not speech. So you will write a rhetorical analysis essay next year in Pre-AP English 2 if you are taking it. If you are just taking English 2 on level, it's still a great class, and you will probably still write a rhetorical analysis essay. I know that right now in Pre-AP English 2, that essay is over Julius Caesar. You are so prepared for Julius Caesar. Reading more Shakespeare is going to be a breeze for you. So you're ready for next year. You have all the rhetorical tools you need. And then next year, you're going to take those tools and you're going to use them, and you're going to build the best essay. So I'm excited for you, and I know that you're prepared. Now, I want to talk to you about how we're going to end out this school year. Wednesday the 20th is technically your last day. So Wednesday the 20th is a Fast Friday, and you're going to check all of your classes, not just this one. So those will probably be pretty quick videos because it's a Fast Friday. To wrap up your school year, pretty quick lessons, and mine will be quickish. Just be sure to check in, take attendance, watch the video for that day, and get what you need from it. Today, if we were in school, if we were physically in school together, today would be a makeup work day, because that's what we do at the end of the semester. You get a makeup work day to turn in anything that you owe me, get help on anything that you need further help on. So that's what we're going to do today during digital learning. You do not have an additional assignment from me. So what I need from you, if you haven't done so already, is to take your attendance and watch this video. That's it. I do want to give you some content in this video. It's not going to be pertinent to all of you, but I do think that you might find some of it interesting, and it'll be pretty short. So what I want to do today is just do a book talk and tell you about some of the books that I have been reading while we are in digital learning. I read a lot because I've been at home, and so it's been really nice and relaxing for me. And I've just been reading a lot of books, and of course I go outside. I've seen a lot of you on the trails on my walks, and that's been really fun. You've met my baby Jack. Some of you have met my husband Nick, and that's been really cool. But reading has been my main pastime. So I want to do a book talk about a few of the books that I have read. You might find them interesting. You might want to check them out. Some of you are serious readers, so hopefully you will enjoy these. It will be fast. So and here's my list. I'll just point you to the tower. This is the tower of books that I've read during digital learning. Now, this is the one that I did a book report with you guys when we were talking about how to do book reviews, Dear Edward. And Dear Edward is the story of, I'm not going to do a full book talk on this one. And Dear Edward is the story of the kid whose family dies in the plane crash, and it flashes back and forth between his perspective when he was on the plane and the stories of all of those people on the plane, and then also his life afterwards. And it is so cool. If you're a reader, and a lot of you are, Dear Edward, really cool book, and Napolitano, really cool. You would like it. It is a book that teenagers would enjoy reading. I am fully confident in that. So check it out if you like reading. I would say if you're a fan of John Green, and you're also a fan of mystery, then you would like Dear Edward. I would say it has my teenage seal of approval. Now, some of these books don't have my teenage seal of approval, but they do have my young adult or, young adult or adult seal of approval. And I would recommend them to any of you, really, the books from this list. So let's just pick a couple of them, and then I'll talk to you about them. I'm not going to do all of them, but we'll do some of them. Let's start with one that I'm just going to put all these books in my lap. I'm going to start with one that I briefly mentioned in a different talk. This is Chains by Laurie Halse Anderson. If you have read Speak, then you are very familiar with her. She writes books from young women's perspectives, and Chains is the first in a trilogy about a young woman who is a slave, and she's trying to break those chains of slavery and fight her way to freedom. Really cool. First in a trilogy. It's new. I think it came out last year, and it's awesome. So I highly recommend Chains. It is definitely geared as a young adult book. So it's geared towards high schoolers, junior high students, and easy to read. Really cool historical fiction. Some of you were asking me about historical fiction when you were trying to pick your books. This is going to be right up your alley. To go along with the lines of historical fiction, I have another one. We didn't really talk about Greek mythology a lot in our class, but I think we did touch on the Odyssey once or twice. Achilles, he was not a god, but he lived in the Greek mythology world. He is the son of a goddess and a mortal. So he is not a god, but he does have some pretty crazy traits. A lot of you know about Achilles because of his weakness, his Achilles heel. The story goes that he was dipped in some potion to protect him, but he was held by his heel, and his heel was not protected. So getting to his heel was the only way for him to die. He was an excellent warrior in the Trojan War, and this is his story. So this is also historical fiction. This is an adult book. It is not a young adult book, but the Song of Achilles is really, really well written, and it is the point of view from the warrior and his friend. I would recommend it if you really like Greek mythology, but remember, it's an adult book, and it does have some adult content. A lot of you, that wouldn't be an issue, but it's great. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. She also wrote Circe, which I really loved. Circe is about the goddess that Odysseus falls in love with after the Trojan War. Let's just go do a couple more, and then I'll let you go. Let me pick some ones that I think you'd be interested in. American Dirt. American Dirt is really high on the New York Times bestseller list right now. So if you are the kind of reader who reads because you want to read up-to-date events and you want to be involved in the popular books that are just now coming out and they're going to be bestsellers, this one is a bestseller. I'm sure it's still in the top 10 for New York Times. It wouldn't surprise me if this was, the number one highest selling novel of the year. It might be. It's too soon to tell. But if it is, you heard it here first, American Dirt. So American Dirt is about an immigrant family who is coming from Mexico to America after a tragedy. Some terrible murders that occurred due to gang violence, and this mother and her son have to fight their way to get to America, and it is their story of how to finally get to freedom. But what really does that mean? And what does it cost to finally set foot on American Dirt? It is not a children's book. It's not a young adult book. It is an adult book. But I would still recommend it to high schoolers. If you want to read about things that are currently happening in the world, but not in a newspaper kind of style. If you want to read it in a novel style, American Dirt is for you. Really well written, and it just grips you from the first page. And then I'll pick one more, and then I'll let you go. Let's see. Let's pick one that's totally different. I'm going to pick another one that's on the bestseller list right now in case you're into that. A Good Neighborhood by Therese Ann Fowler. So A Good Neighborhood is a book that I would absolutely recommend to students, high schoolers. It is not young adult, but it deals with a lot of young adult issues. And so there are teenagers in it. And what happens is this neighborhood is fighting over a huge oak tree that is in threat of being cut down, and because it's dying. And all of the neighbors have to get into this fight over the tree of whether it's going to be cut down or not. But that's just the surface level story. What's really happening is that the race of different players, different members of the neighborhood comes into play. So the members of the neighborhood who are white and rich and wealthy, they seem to have more say than the members of the neighborhood who are not. There's also some forbidden love that occurs in this story, and it's definitely rising on the bestseller list. I would highly recommend it for my students. Any book that will talk about things that are important today, women's rights, race, the environment, I would recommend those to my students any day of the week. So if you're looking for those things, this is your book. Women's rights, race, the environment. This story is really easy to read, and it will capture you early on. I'll show my big old book pile one more time. And if you have any questions about any of my digital reading reads, or if you want me to recommend any other books to you, I am happy to do so. So here was the pile. It starts here and it ends there. Happy to give you book recommendations anytime. I read bad books too, books that are no good and that I would never read again. And unfortunately, that happens sometimes. And I'm sure it happens to you too. But believe me, there are good books out there. You just have to wait for the right one. All right, so that was it. Just a quick book talk today. Today is a makeup work day. I appreciate you guys. Get your work done. I am not accepting makeup work after Wednesday. Nothing. Wednesday is the last day. If you try to turn stuff in on Thursday, I'm not helping you. So get in your makeup work today so we can get it graded. All right, bye you guys. Have a good day.